Hello, beloved Earthbound fam. Welcome back. This vloggy is about Uranus's position in the Neptunian roof that I've been discussing. You can look back through the videos if you don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, there's so much more that Uranus is energizing than what I'm going to speak about today. And many astrologists are widening their spectrums of discussion into those areas. But today I'm tuning into his position strictly in the Neptunian roof that I've been discussing as of late. Before I get to the nitty gritty, I received a very quick but informationally precise message this morning from my guides as I was coming out of dream state that pertains to the very subject that is up for discussion today. So I just wanted to share it with you to start this off. Here's the message. What choices have you made in betterment of self, of others, and of Gaia, who is Mama Earth? All choices made in betterment will result in benefit. End message. A wise tidbit, but all messages from all guides, mine, yours, ours, are full of wisdom we don't always consider. And those words just happen to go in direct merriment with what I'm going to speak about today. As most of my vloggies do, this is going to get deep. So reel it in or release it freely, my friends. I am merely sharing my interpretation of what I see going on in the above with the intention of creating more understanding here below. So if you're down for the deep, let's jump right in. Uranus is fueled up with the power of renewed youth coming off of the conjunction with Mars, as well as with Sedna in the house of Gemini. The house of duality, polarity, choices, reflection, partnership, young intellect and ideas, communication, and travel in shorter distances. Gemini is also the house of tricks, meaning that things can seem one way but truly be another if we aren't paying attention and utilizing our discernment. There's an old saying here on Earth plane. There are two sides to every coin, and Gemini is the epitome of this saying. We have a lot of energetic beings hanging out in Gemini right now, all of whom are throwing their energy into the realm of duality here on Earth plane for the betterment of the next age of the wheel that Gaia, Earth, and humanity itself will be experiencing. In the zodiac, Uranus is the elder air god, and he rules Aquarius, the house of elder air. This is important to know because we are trailblazing our way into the age of Aquarius right now in the universe's wheel of time. Universe, and therefore the house of Aquarius, are all about futurism, rebellion, revolution, evolution, freedom, and sovereign individuality to maintain collective integrity in unity. They represent the highest and greatest good for all of humankind and beings here on Earth plane at this time. They signify progression through extreme methods if necessary in society, in technology, in air and space-related expansion and discovery, as well as scientific and medical advancements, especially when it comes to the mind. The element of air rules the mind. So they represent advanced forms of intellect, communication, and networking, as if intuition and telepathy got married and had a baby, kind of like a cosmic AI, if you will, but much more advanced than any human can manifest down here on Earth plane. They also thrive in detachment with the material world's people, places, and things, and focus more intently on inventive ideas and imaginative powers and bringing these into states of manifestation here on Earth plane. So with this information at the forefront of our minds, Let's take the deep plunge into the conjunction of Uranus, Mars, and Sedna in Gemini, the infant house of air. For those who don't know who Sedna is, she is the goddess of the sea, the underworld, and the creator of all marine animals in Inuit mythology. She is the protector of these things, and she represents respect, balance, deep healing, resilience, regeneration, and metamorphosis. And this is because of an extreme series of tragedies that she endured, which led her to her reverence and goddessness, but not without having to ultimately let go and surrender to the circumstances at hand and go with the flow of her destiny. If you know Sedna's story, then you may understand the puns of my summation there. And if you don't know Sedna's story, it would not be a waste of your time to check it out. I left a link to her story in the description if you're receiving this vloggy on the YouTubes, or if you are watching this on Substack, the link to her story will be at the end of the written vloggy. So back to the conjunction. Mars is the planet of infant fire and rules Aries, the house of infant fire, where our buddy Nep is hanging out right now, right? Mars is all about revolution as well, but from a much more adolescent state of mind. He is the god of war in Roman mythology. He is the warrior of the zodiac, and he is very impulsive and basically the ruler of kicking patooties and taking names. Although the names are not really important to Mars, action is what truly drives him. He is a shoot first and ask questions later kind of guy. He's also a go-getter, a problem solver, and the one you want on your side when you want things done well and done quickly. Mars isn't all war and action though. I mean, always action, but he isn't all warlike, and a lot of people mistake that about Mars. He is a pioneer, and he's a passionate lover of those he loves, and he is a truth seeker. He's actually known as the zodiacal protector of the truth and protecting the truth at all costs. I guess I should probably tag that on to the end because that is the truth. Thus, the reason the house of Aries is the house of what is just as it is, aka the truth. These three powerhouses, Uranus, Sedna, and Mars, coming together at the fourth degree of Gemini, are quietly but forcefully putting into action the metamorphosis of our relationship with our own consciousness and the divine consciousness, and pushing us to look in the mirror to see a reflection we may not recognize fully at this time. But the discovery is on its way, friends, as the choices we make become the deciphering steps of the paths we take on this next journey. Some questions that might be healthily reflective right now are: where is your mind allowed to wander to? What are you allowing to leak into your mind right now? And what are you speaking of? How are you speaking it? And what are you allowing to be spoken to you? These things are going to become the catalyst for the direction of our individual futures, which then morphs into and directly energizes the collective future in which we want to live. That said, the future that is taking its next shape as we quickly approach the age of Aquarius's door is also splitting, like an atom, forming very different realities. You could even refer to this as a type of multidimensionality happening here on Earth plane, which has been referred to as the 3D or the third dimension, 4D or the fourth dimension, and 5D, obviously the fifth dimension. And I'll give you a brief explanation of these. So 3D is our base vibrational frequency here on Earth plane. It's what all humans, the frequency that all humans are born into, and what we are here to learn how to grow out of, to expand out of, to grow up in and grow out of. Kind of like you do clothes when you're a child, right? The 4D is accomplishing the lessons we came here to learn and then like quantum leaping into learning how to advance and expand what we've learned out into the world around us. The 5D is like the last earth plane dimension. And in the 5D, we have gained enough wisdom and mastered our passions and emotional maturity to metamorphosize and rise 5D, 345, right? And rise into what many practitioners of astrology refer to as Homo luminous, meaning that we become a merriment of light beings who can still take on human form because human form and earth plane go together like butter and jam on toast, right? This is the form of earth plane, along with other obvious life forms, but ours that we incarnated into, human. In this Homo luminous form, though, in the 5D, when we reach the 5D, we become masters of all the earthbound senses and move into states of being that are lighter, purer, more carefree, and even superhero like, to the point that we can communicate through nonverbal interactions, like telepathy. We can fly. We can leap tall buildings with a single bound. We can travel wherever we want in the blink of an eye, and I could go on and on and on. I know it sounds super loony to some folks again, so reel it in or release it freely. I totally understand if this is a little much to wrap your mind around. So if it is, just let it go. No hard feelers here, friends. I'm used to being a little too much. But that's just me. Love me or leave me. Moving on. As Mars met Uranus and Sedna on July 4th, interesting day for their meeting, right? This ignite, especially if you're in the United States, and if you don't know that, that is the United States Day of Independence, and it's a big fireworky kind of a day. Anyway, let me start this sentence again. As Mars met Uranus and Sedna on July 4th, this ignited Uranus's fuse for freedom, acting as the blasting cap on a stick of dynamite, if you will, setting a fire under our patooties and thrusting us into personal and worldly revolutions because of revelations of the who's, the what's, and the where's that have held us back individually as well as collectively. Some of which we may not have been aware of, or maybe we chose to ignore instead of acknowledge. This blast is already forcing us to recognize and realize where our sovereignty has been compromised on an individual scale, and the way it's been abused on the global scale will become more and more evident as we move through the rest of summer and the last half of this year. Much of what will be uncovered will concern the misuse of finances, the cunningness of ethical practice that is hidden in the medical industrial complex, as well as the hygienic industrial complex, I guess you could say, or aesthetic industrial complex. We will be uncovering lots of the history that we've been taught to believe, but isn't necessarily the truth, and the fooling we've been led to accept surrounding our earthbound resources like food, water, big oil, and big mining. Mama Gaia has had enough of our taking without giving back, and she is purging the choices and those who made or are making them that do not reciprocate her generosity. When these revelations begin to surface in our own lives, as well as on the world stage, they will present us with numerous challenges, both personally and globally, that could develop through weather anomalies or natural disasters, especially those concerning fire and air, because Uranus is elder fire and Mars is infant air, and they are in the infant air house, right? Uranus takes 84 years to make a full revolution around Father Sun, so it has been 84 years since he's been in the house of Gemini. Although Uranus in his nature is an elder, when he's in the house of Gemini, the house of infant air, it's like he found the fountain of youth and he becomes re energized and renewed with a childlike fervor. So, Uranus and Mars together right now is like handing a box of matches to two toddlers after showing them how to strike it on the side of the box to light said matches and hoping they won't get a strike, right? They may not get the matches to light immediately, but eventually they will get that lucky strike, and the burning up, the burning off, and the burning away will begin. With Sedna on board in this conjunction, as well as our buddy Nep manning the peak of the roof formation of the Neptunian roof that we've been discussing, water will also play a big part. Sedna is the protector of the water, and she washes away all who devour and or destruct her watery comrades. Nep is the god of the seas, and he makes a clear and powerful current for regeneration or a new generation, like the Homo luminous generation that is forming on the horizon of our future as we speak. Add Mama Gaia herself, along with the energetic fact that Saturn, the elder earth sign, who governs, rules, structure, time, and seasons, will be going into retrograde on July 26th. Saturn, so who I mean, retrograde on July 26th in the house of Aries, no less. So we truly have a quadfecta of all universal elements colliding and calibrating right here on our little planet. What a time to be alive. I know I say that all the time, but seriously. Sedna and Nep's waters will be cleaning up and clearing out what Mars and Uranus are burning down for a very long time. Nep's transit around Father Sun is 165 years, and Sedna's transit around Father Sun is a whopping 12,000 years, give or take. But you heard me right, 12,000 years. So she'll be in Gemini for at least 800 years. And so plenty of time to do the cleaning, right? And the clearing. And Nep's transit through Aries will take 13 to 14 years. So we will be witnessing this watery wash away of all that is standing in the way of the betterment of Gaia and her collective for quite some time, maybe even way beyond our lifetimes, or at least in these incarnations. Okay. So this next part is not intended to scare anyone, so please, by all means, reel it in or release it freely. I really, really debated as to whether or not I should say what I'm about to say and consulted with my guides over it, and the resounding answer was yes, speak the up. So I preface what I'm about to say with my intention to expand thoughts beyond the earth plane game and create a state of awareness, not fear, awareness in your consciousness. So when the fires start to grow and claim what's no longer serving, no one needs to be taken by surprise. Oh, did I mention earlier that Uranus is the king of surprise, surprise, surprise? No, I don't think I did. But he is, and he's transiting through Gemini for the next 8-ish years. So yeah, it's going to be a ride. Although Mars's transit is almost out of conjunction with Uranus at this time, the fuse to the detonator on the dynamite has been lit. Remembering to utilize our gifts of free will for betterment, Utilizing intuition and utilizing discernment are going to be the lifesavers we need when the muck and the gunk and the junk start to pile up, trying to distract us, deter us, discourage us, and dissuade us from choosing betterment over degradation. So here we go. My beloved Earthbound fam, we are about to go through a complete overhaul. Some might say through disclosure of what we've been led to think and believe and how we've been living here on Earth plane. The visions may not be what we want to see, but they will be what we need to see so we can make the changes that need to be made for the betterment of all. We are in the year of the fire horse, and what's no longer serving Gaia and her collective in any way, shape, or form will be stampeded by the elements of fire and air. I repeat, I'm not saying this to scare, but to make you aware so the surprises that surface do not cause unnecessary shock or dismay. As mentioned, the combination of Uranus's surprises and Gemini's tricks can be super duper deceiving. So don't let yourself become fooled into thinking that these things won't take place if you don't see them happening right away. The energies above take some time to manifest down here below, but they will. And when they do, it will truly be up to us to discern and decipher what truth, freedom, and sovereignty mean to us, and what we're willing to do, both individually and collectively, to achieve these and maintain them without damaging or destructive behaviors to ourselves, to those around us, and to our beautiful Mama Gaia. Remember, our buddy Nep is in retrograde, so he has no ability to fuel the deceptions that may be presented to us. But nonetheless, there will be those who try to influence us to make choices that alter the betterment of our future. Let them try, my friends. Let them put those sparks of false eminence and dominion into the aether. But remember that we don't have to follow them into their final attempts to control what and who never belonged to them in the first place. All fires start with just one tiny little spark that can fester for quite some time before a big gust of wind comes in and gives it the energy to become a blaze of flames. That gust is upon us as we move through the rest of July. And on July 30th, just 4 days after Saturn's retrograde, the North Node and the South Node, in astrology, those are referred to as the nodes of fate, move into their next zodiacal houses and stakes of claim. The North Node will move into Aquarius, air. The South Node will move into Leo, fire. This is the official start of the age of Aquarius and the full calibration of the divine feminine and masculine energetics that rule the balance of the cosmos. But that's a vloggy for another day, so let's just move on in this one, shall we? In closing, the nodes of fate haven't been in these houses for 18 years because that's how long it takes them to revolve around Father-Son. And they will transit through these houses for 18 months. In numerology, the number 18 is equivalent to the number 9 because 1 plus 8 equals 9. The number 9 is the number that represents the completing of or the end of a cycle. This means that many of the cycles that we have become accustomed to through discipline or tradition or training or conditioning or grooming are going to drastically shift into stages of endings. With that said, it reminds me of a song called Closing Time by a band called Ben Folds 5, I think is who it's by. Anyway, there's a perfect line in that song for the future we are about to blaze a trail through. And that line is, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." And nothing could be or is more true, right? Without endings, we would never find out what comes next. So let's blaze through this ending stuff and ride the airwaves of faith, trust, and love for ourselves, for each other, and for our beautiful, beautiful Mama Gaia, and for our Father, Mother, God, so we can see just exactly what will come next. I cannot say it enough, y'all. It is such a fascinating and mind blowing time to be alive. And I am so very grateful and happy to be here with each and every one of you to experience this with, my beloved Earthbound fam. With that, I will leave this here. So until we meet again, live the life you love the gods you trust, and don't take it all too seriously, because change is the only true constant in the whole of the universes. As we go through this beautiful metamorphosis, always remember, remember, remember that you are stars, not standards. Now go shine and have yourselves a joyful day. Blessed be.